Story 1: Shadows Next Door. What if the dream home you poured your heart into turned out to be a prison guarded by a neighbor's hidden hatred, lurking just beyond your fence, ready to strike in the dead of night? My name is Liam, and this all unfolded about a year ago when my partner Maya and I finally purchased our modest first home as a young couple from Southeast Asia. It felt like a milestone, a symbol of our hard work and dreams coming true. We settled into a cozy two-story cottage in a sleepy residential area of Tennessee, surrounded by ordinary homes with manicured lawns and picket fences. The neighborhood exuded that classic small-town charm, with kids playing in the streets and birds chirping at dawn. To us, it represented stability and a fresh start, but that illusion shattered quicker than we could have imagined, turning our excitement into a nightmare of fear and uncertainty. The initial days were blissful. We spent hours unpacking boxes, arranging furniture, and envisioning our future there. Friendly faces greeted us from nearby houses, an elderly pair on one side who shared gardening tips, and a family across the road who stopped by with homemade cookies. But the property adjacent to ours on the left remained eerily silent. No lights flickered in the evenings, and the blinds stayed drawn tight, giving the place an abandoned vibe despite the well-kept exterior and a sedan parked in the driveway. It was as if the house held its breath, waiting for something. One sunny afternoon, as Maya and I lugged shopping bags from our car, she nudged me gently, her voice laced with unease. "Look over there," she murmured. Glancing sideways, I spotted a figure partially obscured by the curtain in their front room. A tall man, motionless, his gaze fixed on us like a predator sizing up prey. My stomach twisted slightly, but when our eyes met his, he vanished into the shadows. We exchanged puzzled looks, brushing it off as mere curiosity from a reclusive type. Yet a nagging doubt lingered in my mind, like a whisper warning of trouble ahead. As weeks passed, his presence became impossible to ignore. I'd catch glimpses of him at odd hours, peering from his den as I headed to my job in the morning, or silhouetted in an upper-floor pane while Maya fetched letters from the mailbox. Each time it felt deliberate, his stare piercing through the glass, but he'd retreat the instant we noticed. Maya confided in me one evening, her hands trembling as she stirred dinner. "It makes my skin crawl, Liam, like he's studying us." I tried to reassure her, pulling her into a hug, but deep down, my own anxiety gnawed at me. What if this wasn't harmless? The turning point came on a stormy midnight. Thunder rumbled outside as I shuffled toward bed, pausing by our chamber window that overlooked his domain. Lightning flashed, illuminating him in his opposite window, fully illuminated by a dim lamp, his posture rigid, face directed straight at our sanctuary. My heart pounded in my chest. Fear gripped me like icy fingers. When he noticed my silhouette, he melted away. I forced a chuckle to Maya. "Great, we've got a weirdo living next door," but my voice cracked, betraying the terror bubbling inside. Sleep evaded me that night, my mind racing with scenarios of invasion and harm. The following dawn, a knock echoed at our entrance. Opening it cautiously, I faced him for the first time outdoors. A middle-aged man with a disheveled beard extending a hand. "I'm Warren," he said with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. He offered an excuse about adjusting decor on his sill the previous evening, insisting it wasn't intentional spying. His tone was polite, almost overly so, but something in his demeanor, perhaps the way his gaze darted, set off alarms. Relief washed over me momentarily. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. I nodded graciously, not wanting conflict, and relayed the encounter to Maya. He seems odd but harmless, I ventured, though doubt clouded my thoughts. But peace was short-lived. One moonless night, Maya jolted me awake, her whisper frantic. "There's someone out back." Groggy yet alert, I crept to the pane, peering into the gloom. In the faint glow of a street lamp, a shadowy form prowled our garden, bending low as if searching for entry points. Adrenaline surged. Protectiveness overwhelmed me. "Who's there?" I bellowed through the glass. The intruder bolted, the fence gate clanging shut. We huddled together, hearts racing, debating whether to investigate. Nothing seemed missing, so we dismissed it as a vagrant. But sleep came fitfully, haunted by visions of vulnerability. Days later, the intrusion repeated. Rustling sounds echoed like metal scraping wood, perhaps tampering with our shed lock. This time, we both witnessed the figure lurking. "I'm calling the police," I shouted. The trespasser fled, but in the moonlight, his build and gait mirrored Warren's. Fury mixed with dread. I stormed over, pounding on his door. He answered swiftly, chuckling nervously, claiming he was shooing off local teens who hopped barriers regularly. "You'll adjust," he said, his smile strained, eyes glinting with unspoken malice. I sensed hatred simmering beneath, a prejudice I couldn't yet name. Nodding curtly, I retreated, but belief eluded me. His story reeked of fabrication. The next afternoon, he appeared at our stoop, proposing a casual barbecue at his place that weekend. Maya and I debated. Accepting might ease tensions, foster normalcy. We arrived Saturday evening, greeted by the scent of grilled meats, but the air thickened with discomfort. Warren swigged beer relentlessly, his cheeks flushing. He made offhand remarks about local favorites, hinting at our heritage with a smirk. "Bet you folks adore spicy dishes." Passive jabs escalated as alcohol flowed, revealing bigotry. He ranted about the area's traditional roots, implying outsiders like us disrupted the harmony. Maya's face paled. My fist clenched under the table, anger boiling at his venom. Emboldened, he confessed to the yard invasions, boasting without remorse. "You don't belong here," he snarled, voice rising in fury. We fled, locking ourselves in, breath shallow with panic. What now? We canvassed the block, sharing our ordeal. Some residents gasped in shock, others nodded knowingly, whispering of Warren's bitter divorce and alcoholism. It offered no solace. We were trapped beside a ticking bomb. Tensions peaked when a rock smashed our ground floor glass one sleepless night, shards scattering like accusations. We knew the culprit, yet lacked evidence. Authorities noted the vandalism but dismissed action without proof. Exhausted, terrified of escalation, we packed hastily, abandoning our dream home after mere weeks. As we drove away, relief mingled with sorrow. Our sanctuary stolen by hatred. Even now, I shudder thinking what might have transpired had we lingered. Our story splashed across headlines as victims of unchecked rage. Story 2: Hidden Agony. Imagine waking to the echo of a scream that unmasks your cheerful neighbor as a monster, his perfect facade crumbling to reveal a dungeon of despair right next door. Could you ever trust appearances again? I'm Caleb, and this chilling episode dates back to early 2022, when my then-girlfriend, now wife, Harper, and I relocated to a charming, split-level residence in a tranquil community outside Chicago. The move was a leap of faith, our hearts brimming with plans for lazy Sundays in the sun-drenched backyard, perhaps even starting a family amid the blooming lilacs and the gentle rustle of oak leaves. Especially warm were the couple living to our right, Nathan and Claire, appearing in their mid-40s with easy smiles and a vibe of domestic bliss. They welcomed us with a lavish chocolate tart, its rich layers melting on our tongues as we chatted on their porch swing. "Welcome to the block," they beamed, and we savored every bite, grateful for such hospitality. Those first weeks were idyllic. Mornings brought the aroma of fresh brew as Harper sketched designs for her freelance art gigs, while I commuted to my engineering role. The L train's rhythm, a soothing backdrop. The neighborhood pulsed with life, joggers waving hello, kids chasing fireflies at dusk. But cracks appeared in Nathan and Claire's polished exterior. One crisp autumn night, around midnight, sharp voices shattered the silence. Peering out, I traced the clamor to their illuminated kitchen, shadows dancing wildly. Words like betrayal and enough cut through the air, followed by Claire storming to her car, tires screeching as she vanished. Harper stirred beside me, her brow furrowed. "Just a spat," I reassured. But internally, questions swirled. The arguments escalated, becoming a grim soundtrack to our evenings. Returning from a date night, we froze at the sound of yelling from their open door. Accusations flying, glass possibly shattering. Harper tugged my sleeve. "Caleb, let's not pry." We slipped inside, but the incident gnawed at me during sleepless hours. Then Claire's car vanished for days, stretching into weeks. Nathan's routine continued, his truck stationary, occasional sightings of him mowing or fetching mail. Harper speculated separation, given the volatility. Nathan's demeanor shifted. Once jovial waves turned to averted gazes, conversations clipped and evasive, his eyes shadowed with unspoken burdens. After a month, curiosity morphed into worry. Despite Harper's caution, empathy drove me to his door. Ringing the bell, minutes ticked by. He emerged perspiring profusely, a plastered grin cracking his face. "Everything okay with Claire?" I inquired. He stammered, "She's visiting family up north. Her dad's ill." His rapid speech and fidgeting screamed deception. Then a piercing cry erupted from within, a desperate plea, feminine and frantic. "What the hell was that?" I pressed. "Just the TV blaring a thriller," he deflected, contradicting his earlier workout claim. Heart pounding, I excused myself, rushing to Harper. "We need the police," she urged, eyes wide with fear. Anonymously, I reported suspicions for a welfare check. Sirens wailed soon after. Officers swarmed. Nathan was cuffed, protesting innocence, while medics wheeled Claire out, battered and frail. Details unraveled. Toxic marriage riddled with violence. Nathan confined her in their cellar, subjecting her to torment, beatings, violations, starvation. He'd sold her car to feign departure. That scream, he'd inflicted 5 stab wounds to silence her during my visit. Tragically, Claire succumbed hours later. As Nathan was hauled away, he glared, "You'll pay for ratting me out." Nights later, a vivid nightmare assaulted me, awakening to Nathan's form in our room, blade gleaming. "I warned you," he hissed, lunging. I awoke drenched in sweat. Harper stirred concernedly. "Nightmare," I muttered, withholding details. The dream's realism haunted me. Trauma lingered. We wed but relocated, seeking peace. Yet the horror of neighboring a monster persists, a shadow over our joy. Story 3, Whispers Through the Divide. Have you ever felt that only a few centimeters of plaster separate you from pure madness, and someone on the other side is lying in the exact same position, knowing exactly what you're doing right now? My name is Jordan. 2 years ago, at 25, I rented half of an old Brooklyn townhouse. The building was sliced clean down the middle, my half and a stranger's half, separated by one thin wall. The landlord said the neighbor worked nights and kept to himself. I didn't care. I was just happy to have my own place. The bedroom wall was so thin that sometimes I heard faint footsteps. Normal for New York. One humid night I was scrolling on my phone when I heard a voice, male but unnaturally high-pitched, mumbling right against the wall. It felt like he was standing next to my ear. I pulled the blanket over my head and eventually fell asleep, but my heart was racing. It kept happening. Louder each time. I pressed my ear to the wall and realized he was talking to himself, sometimes laughing that creepy falsetto laugh. I started sleeping with headphones and a loud fan, but I could still felt him there, inches away. Then the knocking started. 2 soft taps right by my head. I froze. 2 more. Not house-settling sounds. Deliberate. I scooted to the far side of the bed, shaking. The knocks continued every night for weeks, sometimes gentle, sometimes angry, always when I was almost asleep. One night, 3 slow knocks. I lay perfectly still, pretending to sleep. Then the voice, clear as day through the wall. "What are you doing in there?" I shot upright, called my boyfriend in a whisper. He came over and stayed. That night, silence. As if the neighbor knew I wasn't alone. A few nights later, I woke up abruptly, heart pounding, immediate frantic drumming on the wall right by my ear. I lost it and screamed, "Leave me alone!" Silence. Then a low, calm voice, not from the wall, but from inside my dark room. "Go to sleep." I flew out of bed screaming, ran barefoot into the street, screaming for help until a neighbor 2 houses down called the cops. They searched everything. No one. The neighbor's side was dark and empty. I moved out a week later. The landlord let me break the lease after I threatened to go public. They say the tenant vanished without a word shortly after. I still don't know if he was actually in my room that night or if my mind broke, but I still hear that calm, "Go to sleep" in my nightmares and wake up at 3 a.m. in cold sweat.